Are you a PhD wondering where you'll fit if you decide to leave academia? Wondering what your skills and training qualify you for, if not a position within the academy? This is a concern I hear from a number of PhDs looking to exit academia. And in this video, you're going to get some great ideas on possible paths you can take as a PhD looking for a job outside of academia. So in this video, you're going to hear a conversation I had with Dr. Fangfang Tan. She's a PhD who will give you a sense of possible paths that you can take with your PhD outside of academia. Fangfang has worked both in big tech and now as an entrepreneur running her own business. You'll hear from her some of the pros and cons of each of those paths so that you can listen to those pros and cons and stack them up against your wants, values, and standards in your own job search. But what if you don't have wants, values, and standards teed up yet? Well, then I've got just the resource for you. In the description, I've linked my quick start guide to exit academia. You can use that to exit academia more quickly and less painfully. You'll define things like wants, values, and standards. You'll understand how to communicate your existing skills to potential non-academic employers, and you'll be able to get started with that right away. So be sure to check out that link in the description. I'm also going to include some links to what Fangfang is working on. You'll hear a little bit about the business she's building in this video. And if you want to follow along with her journey there, you'll have the links to do so in the description below. So excited for this conversation. Hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed speaking with Fangfang. And I'm excited for each and every one of you in what's ahead in your careers. Welcome, Fangfang. Super excited to be speaking with you today.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be back. Thank you so much for the invite, Tori.
And I'm so excited to have you back, Fangfang, because we have talked before about your experiences as a data science manager. Today, we're going to talk about your choice to move into entrepreneurship. And you actually now have a lot of bold choices in your career. You've been in academia, you've been in corporate world, you're now pursuing entrepreneurship, right? And potentially have all those doors open to you in the future. And so I really want to talk today about your journey and your career journey so that folks can get some inspiration, a sense of opportunity, and maybe some ideas of advantages and considerations as they're making big, bold career choices. How's that sound? You excited to share your journey and expertise with folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also just, learning by doing all along, but happy to share my experience and thoughts.
Aren't we all? We learn by do, and then we figure out from there. All right, well, excited to jump in. Well, so Fangfang, tell me about your journey to where you are now, founding StorywithAI. How have you gotten to this path?
Yeah, prior to starting with StorywithAI, I spent almost a decade in big tech companies such as Meta, Google, and LinkedIn. And before that, I worked as a postdoc researcher and PhD in academia for altogether another decade. So it's been a long journey, and every decade I love to pivot my career in a new direction. So during my time at those big tech companies, I led teams to build scalable ML solutions to help business acquire and retain customers. That's well connected to my economics background, which I totally enjoy doing. In the meantime, though, I'm also a mom of 2 young kids who started school and serve as a board member of a local nonprofit organization called the Joy Culture Foundation, which has a little library to promote Asian American cultural identity and bilingual education. We spend a lot of weekend there watching kids read books, make friends, growing this bilingual community, and it was super fun. When generative AI applications surged everywhere starting last year, I naturally started to think about how this potentially could apply to education on top of my day-to-day job, because this problem space is really dear to my heart as a mother. One day, my son brought home a very cute handmade storybook made by himself with teacher's help named The Little Bear Steals Grandpa's Hat, with a really cute storyline, but it's kind of hard to understand what he drew as a typical 5-year-old. So suddenly an idea burp and say, maybe I can explore like those large Gen AI models at that time, like Midjourney or DALL-E, to illustrate for the story. And that's a good learning opportunity for me as well. So I started diving in, I really got into it. After a month of hacking, not only I put up together all the illustrations, but also managed to find out self-publishing and self-published that book on Amazon KDP. When I shared that in my friend circle, parents started to reaching out and say, hey, please help me with this and that. This is an amazing idea. And I ended up by doing just lots of this, building a tool for it to help young kids illustrate their stories. Most recently, StorywithAI also roll out like personalized gift kits, empowering everyone to create customized gifts, such as books and stickers, and later on maybe music and multimedia to share with their loved one. Because I really believe, in the creation space, right? Generative AI can help turn everyone's imagination into creations in a way that deepens interpersonal connections, especially with parents and their kids.
Well, and I imagine, actually when you were talking about Alvin drawing that story, probably my drawing skills are no better, right? And so for folks who are not necessarily artistically inclined, such as myself, this opportunity to really leverage creativity through this tool and to have that opportunity to bond and sort of engage together in a way that you couldn't have without this, that's really powerful. And so I'm curious, you stepped out of the corporate ladder to pursue this path. What was in that choice for you?
Yeah, the one learning which I'll be sharing more in a bit that I have is there's really these days, no sort of thing called a secure job path. In fact, I would say that if you just working very comfortably in your current job, not taking any challenges, there's no opportunity for that job for you to learn new skills like technologies like AI, nor do you find any time to do self-studies. You actually need to rethink about what's up next for the next 5 to 10 years, because I can clearly see how generative AI is disrupting in every single walks of life. And essentially, you will need to keep learning, right, in order to be just owning the future-proof skill set. And I also read a book by Reid Hoffman called The Start of You, which talks about just your current career plan as plan A, but then your side hustle, potentially backup plan is plan B, and fallback option is plan Z, right? Yeah, if you are ever ended up in a very comfortable corporate job, you will not might not have the motivation of starting just exploring where your true passion, where the market fits, right? And all of this, marry. So that's another reason for me to just, step out of my comfort zone again after a big 10 years in a big tech and to explore something new.
Well, and I think you're calling out several downsides of corporate jobs that I think are often invisible to folks. So I want to echo them back. One, you're putting a lot of power in the hands of your employer, that if they no longer want to employ you, right, then you have put a lot of eggs in their basket, if you will. You might be slowing down your own learning, which in terms of your opportunities, you might be very comfortable at that big company. But if the learning is asymptoting a little bit, then you're underserving your own career. And the third one you called out around underserving your passion. A lot of folks in corporate are not necessarily connecting to areas they are most fulfilled. And so I think those are wonderful reasons to think about as folks consider a corporate path versus something like entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's
right?
well said. Yeah, I would, that reminds me of just, a career path is essentially alternating between jobs that that pays well, right? And a job that learns well. So yeah, it's of course, the best that if you can do both, but then, sometimes you need to prioritize and trade off a bit.
I heard once this framing of jobs that should be learning, earning, or returning. And I like that framing, right? Either you're learning, you're earning, or you're returning things that you have learned from the fact that you have learned and earned, right? And so choosing those and knowing that there may be different blocks in your career where you're doing each, and that is natural, expected, desirable. It's important to highlight that because many folks can focus just on earning at the expense of learning and returning, right? And so there should be balance there, especially around areas like Gen AI, where the world is moving so fast that if you're missing out on the learning there, you may be unintentionally closing doors.
Exactly. Yeah, cannot agree more.
Nice. Well, and so Fangfang, you've been in this entrepreneurship path now for how long has it been?
I would say almost 6 months.
Wow, nice. Almost 6 months. What have you learned so far in 6 months as an entrepreneur?
There's so much. I would say just, sum up the top three here. First of all, a lot of patience and perseverance is actually a virtue here. Building a brand actually takes a lot more time than probably anyone would think of. Every startup founder, I read, like, say, a book says that will need to face a moment of truth when they first bring their product to the market, which thought, oh, this is a genius idea. But then later learn it the hard way. And mine is, of course, of no exception. For instance, I learned that, hey, even though I had like lots of experiences and best practices, how to run effective social ads on Meta, right? Running that directly driving conversions to unknown brand is just not very effective, after all. So it just, you need to just start building things and cultivating your power users, right, in a non-scalable way, acquiring your first maybe 1,000 customers, and then started to think about scale. So this is just, takes time, skill, and of course, a lot of like patience and not giving up. The second lesson will be more on the innovation side, right, and learning side. Well, generative AI is a powerful tool. What I discovered is that, like, it's it's a tool after all, and it cannot replace super valuable deep domain knowledge and also all sorts of like critical problem skills in order to be successful. Yeah, for instance, I spent the past 6 months learn a lot about the education industry, how is it different, right? Like how are business doing, they're different from enterprise SaaS business, and how is consumer business, differs as well. And again, this is going to help how you developed, right? Hone your products and identify the product market fit there. But yeah, so certainly, generative AI can help you research faster, but it's not replacing you making critical decisions on the business front. The third thing will be adaptability and agility, because like change is the only thing that not changing in the startup world, and you need to pivot really quickly, adapt to new situations, and making decisions with very limited data that are definitely not able to run A/B tests or version control out of it in the very initial stage. Yeah, also process is much less set up. It's more like, do execute fast and fail fast, that type of mindset.
A lot of differences there from the larger companies where we had data sets where A/B tests were a lot easier, huh? But it's a great point, the adaptability point. I love what you said about change being the only thing that's not changing. I think so often when I hear folks considering the entrepreneurship path, they imagine that they'll do a bunch of research beforehand, they'll get to know everything they need to know, and then they'll make the decision and they'll sort of jump to the other side and that's it. Where the reality is you learn and you keep learning and you keep learning. And as you mentioned, AI can be a great research tool, but it's not doing the learning by doing. It's not doing a product launch. It's not talking directly to your customers. And so sometimes as an entrepreneur, you just have to put yourself into those situations, good and bad, to get the learnings, to get the opportunities, to keep adapting and growing in a way that if you're sort of keeping yourself on the sidelines, you won't. I don't know how much you're finding that, but that's what I was finding resonated
Oh yeah,
for
that's
me.
exactly the yeah, true. Yeah, AI cannot replace, human in terms of like any business decision making, right? So in that line, right, it's critically important that every single one of us continue honing skills in terms of communication, storytelling, problem solving, right, prioritization, and domain knowledge across different areas in the business. These are critical, regardless of AI or not AI.
So, Fangfang, you've made some bold career moves. You've left academia, you've left the corporate world, and of course, we don't know if that's permanent, right? But you have made these choices to move in a way that many other folks wouldn't. And so I'm going to ask you a question that I get from a number of folks, particularly in academia. Any regrets about any of those career choices?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I can see that like for folks, potentially like people from academia also ask me questions like that. I think at the back of the head hole, this academic world is so hard to get in, this Ivy Tower that needs a lot of hard work and lots of like demonstrative papers. Once you are out of their Ivy Tower, it's hard to get back, without so much, hard work to prove your credentials. But I wanted to share with you, I so far don't have any regrets because I'm probably using a different framework than many of the folks are using, and use minimizing my regret, which means we all only live one life, and I can imagine an older version of myself, or maybe my grandkids down the road will ask me, hey, grandma, right? Why are you doing this all of your lifetime? Have you ever thought of doing something else? And I hate to say it that, doing this, I can only do this. The best of my life is designed for me. I don't want to be kind of like, say, like that type of grandma to them. So from time to time, when I'm in a particular job, I ask myself, hey, am I being too comfortable? Am I missing any opportunities, right? The one thing I realized over my past decade that I'm in big tech, I'm never, ever been approached by any startup founder and say, hey, Fangfang, I'm so admire of your talent. Why do you come join us as a co-founder, right? Because the world of startup is completely different, both in terms of challenges and the mindset of approaching problems. And you only kind of like say, learn this by doing it. So that like say also prompts me to try a different career path. And I would say also, there are of course very legit reason of like, how about the economic downside, right? We all have obligations to bring food to the table at the end of the day. So if that's the case, certainly true for every single one. One practical suggestion I would say is that you don't need to leave your day job right from the beginning, right? During the exploration phase, you can build a path forward by, for instance, starting to build a side hustle that really matches your passion and is not infringing whatever intellectual work that you do in your day job, like in terms of like NDA agreements are also, right? That way, you build up your customer space, you build up your skills and networks that allows you to one day potentially flipped to completely just being financed by your day job and financed by your side hustles. So that is corresponding to this like flip of plan A and plan B talked in The Start of You by Reid Hoffman. For university professors, I wanted to share that like during my very first search from academic jobs to industry jobs, I do take opportunities to do a lot of information interviews during my academic visits as well. So I rarely friends who of my husband at that time that I work in tech, and they say and do a lot of like survey style, conversational survey style of like, hey, what part of the job do you enjoy the most? What type of role that you're doing that potentially will fit my skill set. So that like giving us so much insights. Then when I felt like was ready, equipped with the right skill gap, I jumped right in and got a really well-respected role at Meta that time. So just, there were always doors open. I don't believe that the door will be shut permanently, right? But I hate to just, because of the fear of imposter syndromes and fear of trying new things, turn away from those opportunities.
Well, and it's a really great point, Fangfang, that you can explore these alternative paths while you're in a current opportunity. And that often it's great to do that, right? Sometimes folks don't have that option, right? They're out there exploring because they have to be. But if you're in an opportunity and thinking about something new, the exploration door is always open. And you can always choose to stay, right? You can explore something else and then say, actually, my option A is better. The other thing, though, is that at some point you're going to have to make a choice based on whatever information you have, based on however many clients or whatever knowledge or offer you have. And so really being conscious about those inflection points, right? Like, when am I ready to choose this? What will make me ready to choose it? That's as important as the info gathering. Because folks could also info gather for, 10 years, 20 years. I'm going to info gather about this till I'm a grandma. And so info gathering, but also drawing sort of a decision point or okay, I've got my MVP ready to go point. I think those are important to delineate as well. Anything you did to actually empower yourself in making decisions there?
I think it's like giving self a timeline is also a really good point that you added, right? Because indecision is also kind of like, say, potentially leading to missing out, like better career upsides as well. So I would say, set yourself up like a timeline, right, for exploration, and then reflect and to see, hey, at least at some point, just like what Tori, you mentioned, that, hey, probably is based on what I heard, not worth pursuing, or hey, this potentially just, supposed to be for a new path career, probably it's like generating too low of a momentum, and let's, put it back to side hustle for a while, right? But yeah, again, doors are always open if you wanted to accelerate, decelerate. And I wanted to say that this is, more under your control, but you have to be in full control.
Yeah, and almost being disciplined about the timelines, right? That here's the timeline I'm going to make this, here's when I'm going to check in on it, allows you to be far more intentional. And look, it's never easy for folks to step out of their comfort zones and to make those more courageous choices, but giving yourself a timeline within which to make the choice, and then within which to evaluate the choice, right? To say like, oh, that wasn't a good choice, I'm going to move back that way. With all of those, you can set up some really empowering choices, and those choices that allow you to feel more excited about your path towards grandmotherdom, if you will, right? The grandmother whose grandkids are saying, did you ever explore this? Yeah, I did. Here's what I learned, right? There's a real opportunity there.
Absolutely.
Well, Fangfang, it's been wonderful getting to catch up with you today and to speak a little bit about your journey. I think it really will inspire folks who are considering that next step, whether leaving academia, whether leaving corporate for entrepreneurship. There are so many courageous elements to your career journey, and I'm really thankful that you've taken the time to share those with folks today. Thanks for making time.
Thanks for inviting me again. It was so fun. Hope this is of a little bit of an inspiration to you. And yeah, see you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, if you're curious to follow Fangfang, we're going to put links in the description so that you can check out what she's building. You can follow her on LinkedIn to get a sense of where she's headed with her entrepreneurial journey. So if this video inspires you, keep following along with Fangfang and her journey. I'll drop the links in the description below. Viewers, thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Hope that you have a great rest of your day, excited for what's coming for each and every one of you in your careers. Looking forward to what's ahead. Have a great day, folks.